Hello, my name is Chandra Hai, and this is my graphic organizer project, and the subject is Google Docs. This I chose to use a rectangle shape to represent a computer screen, and the color blue to represent the wide world, and the color white because it reminds me of clouds, and that's where Google Docs shares or stores information in the cloud. For my questions, I chose to use three primary colors like a traffic signal. I used a round shape for each one, and for the first question, what, I used red because it reminds me to stop and pay attention. For the second question of why, I used yellow, and this reminds me to slow down and see what's going on. And for the third question, how, I used green, and green says to go and explore and make use of the tools of this program. Under the question what, I have placed two similar shapes that remind me of file folders, and I've chosen to keep this shape or these shapes throughout, as file folders have different information, but they can all be held in one place like a filing cabinet. And I've also chosen to keep the colors under this one and in the red family to remind me to pay attention. These two files hold information. The first one says web-based, and that's because Google Docs is a web-based software package. And the other file is entitled Share Docs, and that's because Google Docs gives students the ability to share documents with others. Under the why question, I have placed two similar colored files, which are in the yellow color family, and that's just to remind me to slow down and pay attention. The first file is labeled Common Core, and that's because Google Docs helps teachers meet Common Core standards, such as standard number 6, which says to use technology introducing internet to produce and publish writing and interact and collaborate with others. And the second file is titled Storage, and that's one of Google Docs' advantages is storing information in the cloud or on Google Drive, and that means that there's access or more access to your information. Under the question of how, I have placed two green files, and that's just to remind me I'm going to stay in the color green, and that's just to go out and utilize what this program can offer. One of the files is labeled collaboration, and Google Docs makes it possible to collaborate on projects even from a distance. And the second file is labeled create files to share, and this means information is able to be shared with others even if you can't meet in person. Under this topic, create files to share, I have placed two more files also in the green color family. I have labeled the first one electronic portfolio, and that identifies the ability for students to create electronic portfolios that can showcase a variety of work. They can then utilize this when applying to college. And the second file, Mobile Learners, holds information about being able to learn on the go, so to speak. Google Docs makes it possible to begin a project on an iMac and then later add content maybe in a class, taking notes on a tablet or an iPad, and then possibly revise it at home on a family PC. Under the topic collaboration, I have placed two more green file folders. The first is labeled Video Chat, which means Google Docs gives its users the option to chat via video for free. And Worldwide Web folder is the other labeled folder, and this is because this gives students around the world access to one another. Under Video Chat, I have placed two file folders, also in green, and the first one is labeled Participate in Class, and this expands on the idea of video chat being utilized by teachers and students in a classroom setting. If a student is unable to physically be present in the classroom, they can sign in to the account, listen, and even ask questions during the lesson. The other file is labeled Present Projects, and this makes it possible via video chat also for students to do live presentation in real time even if they aren't unable to be in the classroom. Under the topic Mobile Learners, there are two more green files, and the first one is labeled Easier Access, And this just talks about the ability to work on group or personal projects anywhere there's internet access. And most devices, even a smartphone, can be utilized for this tool. The other file, less to keep up with, it just means there are no physical papers or books, and there's no need to carry or keep up with a flash drive. All the information is stored on Google Drive and or in the cloud for remote access anywhere. So that concludes my graphic organizer. Thank you for listening.